So to kind of take this out of the abstract using a real example that I did this week, and you've seen this already, Barnesy, but it's worth going through twice. So this was talking to an accountant client, and like I said, I don't really have a lot. Well, he's the only accountant. I just really like the guy, so I wouldn't normally take a client outside of my kind of zone of genius, but he's just a really cool dude. And the way we did this is when you look at the stupid simple client formula is we actually work our way backwards. So I started with like, who are your best people for ongoing, like that you already have right now? And he gave me a guy named Chris. And so I said to him, well, tell me about Chris. What did you do? And he said, well, I've got a couple of Chris's, but they're usually between anywhere from 100,000 to 2 million. He says, that's the sweet spot because they have a real business, but they're not so big that it's like full of bureaucracy, right? Like I don't want to deal with 17, board members to just fucking agree on a logo. I want somebody who can, be decisive, but at the same time, if they're a little mom and pop not making any money, it's not going to be worth it for them, right? So he says, typically they're 2 to 10 people. Now that's a very specific person that we can call out. So they may not necessarily be like symptoms per se, but I can definitely point a finger if you're a Houston area business owner doing between 100,000, 2 to 10 people. Now I asked him like, what are you doing for Chris that is different? And I didn't actually know this, but he said, well, most accountants just give you recorded history. They check your books, they add up the numbers, and they say, here's how much you owe the government. And most of their needs are basically in the 2 weeks before tax time. And I said, well, what's different with Chris? And he said, well, I figure out how Chris can save money. Like, should you register this kind of corporation? Should you create a partnership? Should you create a retirement fund? Is there write-offs you could give to your family? And so forth. And he says, mine's more about like proactive going to save you money. And I said, okay, that makes a lot more sense to me. So I wrote that down. And also said, tell me about the upside. And he said, well, usually Chris ends up saving like $40,000 to $50,000 per year. And I said, I think that probably sounds pretty good to Chris, especially because, nobody likes paying Uncle Sam. And I said, tell me what else, like what are some of the other benefits? And he said, well, 2 were that he told me. One is that, he said, normally what happens is I get a rush of a gazillion business owners right before tax time that are all in a panic mode and need me. But I really like the Chris's because I've been saving him money all year round. So I already know all his numbers. And when it gets to tax time, everything's prepaid. It's simple. It's low stress. We've been working at this for 11 months. So there's no surprises and everything's ready to go. And as well, he said, which I didn't write down, but he said a big concern of theirs was, am I going to get audited? Is this legal? Like, is Uncle Sam, what happens if Uncle Sam comes after me and I say I did this? And his answer to both is, yes, it's legal. No, it does not increase your chances of getting audited. But it does, if you do nothing, it increases your chances of giving 40 to 50,000 away to the government that you don't need to. Then I just asked him a little bit about the implementation side, and he told me, well, the challenge is my bad clients, like I can tell you how to set up this type of corporation. I can give you the website. I can tell you all the info that goes in there and I can help you. But at the end of the day, you're the one who has to submit the damn form. And if you don't do that, it won't work for you. So he says, I can't make you implement, but he's like, but nobody else does this. But part of what I do is I help you. I guide you through the form. I tell you what to put where and make it really, really simple so you don't have to figure stuff out. And he said as well, I accept monthly payments, right? Like you can, and basically my services are free because if I'm going to save you 50,000, I'm going to ask for 10,000 in the form of monthly payments. And at the end of the day, you're going to come out 30, 40,000 ahead that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So this is basically as free as it gets to you. And I said, what do you normally do with Chris? And he told me, when I have an interested Chris, I send him a plan of what we could do together. And then I just say at the end of it, Chris, would you like my help implementing this plan? But regardless, the plan has value and I give him the plan, right? So this is what we came up with, 1 to 3 sentences. It looks a little longer only because I put I put it on different lines, but if I put these as commas, it would just be a long, it'd be about a 3-sentence one. It says, "Dear Houston area business owner with a 2 to 3 person firm doing between 100,000 and 2 million annually, how would you like to keep 40 to 50,000 extra of your own hard-earned money, cash that you would normally give away to Uncle Sam every year, by using completely legal, little-known retirement strategies, organizational structures, and fringe planning?" It should say fringe, not fring. "And what if I gave you that plan 100% for free? How it works, most accounts are just going to show you recorded history. This plan is about proactive money saving that you don't have to give to the IRS. If you'd like your free plan, register at the link below. P.S. The catch is that you may want my help to implement it, in which case I'll show you how you can get it for no extra cost to you." Now, obviously I'm pretty biased on the subject, but I think that's a pretty sexy offer. And which is different than the offer that he was running a week ago that said, "We do taxes. I'm your tax minimization specialist," and all the platitudes that people try and do to describe what they do in one sentence. You know, I'm going to give you a plan that's going to save you $40,000 to $50,000 if you are this specific person. And a couple of things that make this work is, I'll tell you, Barnesy, the number one thing people get wrong with offers is just not being specific enough. And what ends up happening is, I see this all over where, you know, I help business owners to get more leads. I help business owners to rank higher in Google. I help business owners to get business through Google AdWords, right? If you think about it, that's very different than I help, or, you know, personal injury lawyers to get motorcycle leads for under $10 a piece, converting at an average of, you know, 5% into long-term cases. And I have 14 follow-up emails that help sell them on your firm and convert them to, you know, long-term motorcycle cases, right? So the specificity is almost always what's killing most people in this game. Is you'll see they try and have like a platitude statement that appeals to everybody, and it usually doesn't work like that. So this offer structure, by the way, you can sell the same thing 20 times through 20 different offers. Right. So you might have one offer that's like, "Hey, I'm not going to disappear on you as the web guy." Another offer that's like, "Hey, it's easy for you to set up." Another offer that says, "Hey, if you're deciding to bring your business online from COVID, I can help you." You might have another offer that's like, if you've always wanted to start that blog or whatever, right? But it's all the same thing that you're delivering. But this is where people get tripped up, because they try and create one message to talk to everybody, and we really just want to make one message to talk to one Chris. Now, the beautiful thing is, when you do this, what do you think the chances are that there's more Chris's out there?
Right.
Right. So like, Homeboy's not the only one.